The moment Wang Lin spoke, countless illusory volcanoes, which had been conjured around his body, suddenly began to overlap in the starry sky where the stone debris formation was. As the illusory volcanoes continuously overlapped, in the blink of an eye, they fused into one. Before Wang Lin, a towering mountain suddenly appeared, resembling a real peak with almost no distinction. This mountain stood over 1,000 zhang high. Though it wasn't particularly large in the vast starry sky, it felt immense in front of the onlookers, instantly releasing an overwhelming aura pressure that spread through the heavens and earth. At the moment the mountain appeared, the entire starry sky rippled violently, as though it were trembling. The stone debris formation within it also collapsed, with countless stones shattering in an instant. With the sound of a mountain collapsing, the peak shook violently, and the top exploded, sending countless fragments flying in all directions. At the same time, large plumes of black smoke burst forth, and in an instant, a dark red flame erupted from within the mountain. This flame, with its scorching heat, could annihilate all life. As it surged forth, the flames transformed into massive stones, exuding black smoke, and fell violently from the starry sky. Several cultivators from the Cloud Sea Star domain were immediately struck by these massive stones, screaming in agony as their bodies were crushed into dust. The flames then engulfed them, instantly refining their primordial spirits. The black smoke pouring out of the mountain was laced with toxic fire, turning into dust that spread rapidly, filling the surrounding space. In that moment, it felt as though the entire starry sky had become an apocalyptic scene, so real it was terrifying. One cultivator, already half out of the formation, was about to flee in panic, his face filled with horror. But before he could make it, the fiery dust struck him. He let out a piercing scream, his body immediately turning into black smoke as it collapsed, and his primordial spirit was burned away, vanishing into nothingness. Even the incoming seven-colored heavenly thunder, in the face of the black smoke and flames, exploded prematurely, filling the air with terrifying, thunderous roars. Some cultivators, though they managed to avoid being struck by the falling stones and the toxic fire dust, were shattered by the deafening thunder, their primordial spirits crushed, blood spouting from their mouths, and their eyes dimming. Eventually, they perished as their Tao faded and their souls dissipated. The heart-wrenching screams echoed in the air. However, it wasn't over. The mountain that spewed black smoke and flames began to tremble once again. Waves of magma surged from the peak, quickly filling the starry sky with scorching heat and the overwhelming aura of destruction. As the lava spread, 7 or 8 cultivators who were too close tried to flee, but 2 of them were immediately struck by the fiery dust, dying in pain. One cultivator, flying up, was struck by a massive stone falling from the sky. His body shattered into blood, and under the high temperature, the blood evaporated into steam the moment it spread. They were the lucky ones. Although they couldn't escape death, their suffering before dying was far less than the 4 others. The last 4 cultivators, a bit slower, didn't have time to fly out of the danger zone. They were immediately hit by a massive wave of lava, and as the lava passed through their bodies, their flesh burned and disintegrated, leaving only blackened skeletons frozen in their forward motion. The skeletons barely lasted a breath before shattering into ash. Their primordial spirits were also burned into nothingness by the lava wave. The most agonizing were the slightly more powerful cultivators. They didn't die in the first wave of lava, but couldn't escape. They were forced to struggle within the lava, unable to escape despite using their divine arts and treasures. In the distance, the mosquito beasts, using their incredible speed, quickly returned. Their cold eyes gleamed with a chilling light as they flew towards the chaotic scene of the mountain collapse technique. This area had already lost all its sealing powers, and the more than 10 mosquito beasts were not affected by the approaching flames. Upon seeing the Mosquito King arriving, the mosquito beasts immediately shrieked and took flight, forming a massive army, charging in and out of the mountain collapse technique. Wang Lin's mosquito beasts, filled with vengeance, led the charge, heading straight towards a frightened yellow-robed cultivator. This cultivator was one of the 3 who had previously lured the mosquito beasts away. He had just avoided a falling boulder when he felt a fierce wind behind him. Turning around, he saw the mosquito beasts charging at him. His face changed drastically, and he tried to retreat, but it was too late. The mosquito beasts collided with him, tearing his body apart with a blood-curdling scream. Having tasted blood, the mosquito beasts grew more frenzied. Under the Mosquito King's lead, they continued their vengeful attack, targeting the other two cultivators. All of this happened in an instant. Under the force of mountain collapse, there were no injuries, only death. The essence spirit of the elder in purple robes, who had already lost his physical body, was now filled with fear. He dodged falling boulders and clouds of toxic fire dust, gritting his teeth as he rushed toward the formation. Another elder in purple, his face pale, also avoided a patch of toxic fire dust. He ignored the life and death of his disciples and charged straight for the formation. Terror and regret filled his heart, regret for his greed, and hatred toward the three disciples who had captured the mosquito beast, dragging him into this calamity. Wang Lin's eyes remained calm. Toward these people, he felt no mercy. If they dared covet the mosquito beast, they would pay the price. Spreading his arms, he pushed upward and uttered in a low voice, "Mountain, first collapse." As the words left his mouth, the mountain shook again. Massive chunks of rock tumbled from its peak, merging into the magma below. In the same moment, the magma that had filled the surroundings suddenly surged skyward. As it rose, it transformed into an unimaginably powerful shockwave that swept through the starry sky. Several remaining cultivators were struck by the fiery magma. Caught in screams, their bodies turned to ash and vanished. The essence spirit of the elder in purple who had been rushing ahead was just nearing the formation's center when, under the first form of mountain collapse, the already damaged formation began to fracture. Countless cracks erupted, and blinding light flashed across it like a storm. With the magma soaring high, the formation could no longer withstand the destructive force. With a thunderous crash, it collapsed completely. The blinding light within it burst out in all directions, tearing through everything. Booming explosions followed. The entire formation shattered inch by inch, utterly destroyed. "No!" The elder's essence spirit cried out in despair, his body shuddering as he came to a halt in the starry sky. But in that brief pause, a burning boulder fell from above and smashed into him. He spewed a mouthful of essence spirit chi and stumbled backward. His essence spirit was engulfed in flames, but the danger wasn't over. In that instant, toxic fire dust swept in, forming a dust storm around him. Amid tortured screams, the elder somehow used a divine art to break free of the storm. Now his entire being was wreathed in blazing fire. His essence spirit had dimmed, on the verge of disintegration. Blisters like toadskin pustules had erupted across his form, each filled with deadly flame toxin. Even within his essence spirit, fire was burning, forcing anguished roars from him as he retreated. He suddenly looked up, eyes filled with madness as he locked onto Wang Lin. "Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me," he bellowed, charging straight at Wang Lin. At the same time, he ignited his essence spirit's core for self-detonation. Waves of heaven and earth energy surged wildly from his essence spirit, forming a tempest of destruction aimed at Wang Lin. But Wang Lin remained composed. Just as the elder neared, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed. "Freeze." His voice was icy. The moment the word rang out, the elder's essence spirit froze in midair. Though the elder's cultivation exceeded Wang Lin's, as the body immobilization art took effect, Wang Lin circulated his fire essence, suppressing the backlash. With a wave of his right hand, the Kunji whip infused with his Tao concept manifested. Like a dragon, it lashed out toward the elder. With a crisp snap, the elder's essence spirit, on the brink of self-destruction, was struck, and that volatile force dissipated instantly. Crackling sounds rang out. The elder screamed in agony. Madness vanished from his eyes, replaced by deep terror. As he tried to retreat, the Kunji whip coiled around him and yanked him toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin grabbed him with one hand and tossed him forward, straight into a suddenly appearing storage rift, as if he had been devoured by it. The entire sequence flowed smoothly without the slightest pause, leaving the other elder, whose physical body was still intact, trembling in the distance. Without hesitation, he turned and fled. How could Wang Lin let him escape? His body flickered as he gave chase. With his right hand pointing skyward, he shouted, "Second collapse. 1 mountain, 2 collapses." This was Wang Lin's current limit in the mountain collapse immortal art. Compared to Qingshui's 6 mountains, 12 collapses, it fell far short. Qingshui's mountain collapse could annihilate an entire realm. Wang Lin couldn't achieve that, but destroying these cultivators? That he could certainly do. The entire starry sky trembled violently under the second collapse, and the towering mountain peaks shook, emitting a deafening roar. With a mighty crash, the mountain collapsed entirely. Not just the mountain itself, but also the mountain soul formed from Wang Lin's will and immortal power shattered, turning into countless burning debris that tumbled down. Numerous stones shot out in all directions, while an endless stream of magma and fire toxin powder erupted, covering the entire surrounding starry sky. If that were the end of it, it might have been bearable. However, under Wang Lin's will, the countless burning stones, magma, and fire toxin dust formed by the shattered peak were immediately transformed into a river of flames by a wave of his right hand. This river spiraled around his body, and in that moment, Wang Lin appeared as a divine being standing tall and unyielding, his white hair swirling and his cold, stern face exuding an aura of cold death. He was afraid, trembling with fear. Wang Lin's eyes flashed as he waved his right hand forward. The fiery river surrounding him surged toward the old man, and without sparing him another glance, Wang Lin lifted his head. Above him, the tribulation clouds rolled and churned in the starry sky, while large, fire-infused heavenly tribulations rained down with a thunderous roar. Fire! Wang Lin's expression remained calm, a faint smile curving at the corners of his mouth. The moment the celestial fire came howling toward him, he pointed a finger at it. In an instant, his left eye flickered with firelight as a crimson armor suddenly materialized around him, making it appear as though Wang Lin was enveloped in flames from a distance. A white cloak fluttered behind him, contrasting with his white hair. On his crimson armor was a white vermilion bird totem. Wang Lin charged forward, heading straight for the celestial fire. In the blink of an eye, he plunged into the firestorm. The vast sea of flames surged toward him, but was immediately absorbed by the armor on his body. The vermilion bird totem on his chest stirred, transforming into a vermilion bird that shrieked as it soared into the sky. The celestial fire danced like it was in rhythm with the bird, swirling into a vortex that followed its movements. For Wang Lin, this fire-infused tribulation was bearable. He gazed upward at the sky, a defiant look in his eyes. Having undergone multiple tribulations throughout his life, each one nearly costing him his life, he had never yielded. Today, with the power of thunder and fire in his grasp, the rebellious heart that had been suppressed for 1,000 years reignited. This heavenly tribulation was merely a manifestation of the Tao of heaven. To defy the heavens, one must first defy the tribulation. Within the vast expanse of tribulation clouds covering countless realms, a booming roar erupted in response to Wang Lin's defiant gaze, as if the might of heaven had been challenged. The tribulation clouds swirled violently, and a surge of celestial might descended in an instant. This celestial might was not new to Wang Lin. He had experienced it twice before. Under the might of heaven, all those who resisted were shattered. Yet Wang Lin did not retreat. Instead, he laughed heartily. Thunder tribulation, fire tribulation, illusion tribulation, authority tribulation. Are these the only 4 tribulations, or is there more? Wang Lin raised his head toward the heavens. Under the pressure of the roaring celestial might, he remained unwavering. At his words, the Tao of heaven responded. The pressure intensified by more than 100 times, and the starry sky around Wang Lin began to warp and twist, as if some indescribable force was tearing it apart. Wang Lin's body was immediately forced down several meters by this pressure. The armor creaked under the strain, but his head remained held high. With a flick of his right hand, the burning river that surrounded the purple-robed elder from earlier contracted and quickly swept toward Wang Lin. The elder's body was shattered by the force, his soul drawn toward Wang Lin. The elder from the Cloud Sea Star domain had been severely injured. The heavenly tribulation thunderball had already possessed the power to shatter his body, but he had forcefully suppressed it. The mountain collapse technique that followed worsened his injuries, causing his cultivation to drop drastically, leaving him with only the strength of the early stages of pure nirvana. As the burning river closed in, the elder's soul dimmed immediately. But just as the river approached Wang Lin, the elder's eyes widened, and his soul exploded in a frantic burst, ripping free from the river's grasp and charging toward Wang Lin. "You will die." The elder's final roar of life transformed into a powerful killing intent that raced toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin snorted coldly. With his right hand raised like a palm, he struck the approaching soul with a sudden motion. The primordial energy in the starry sky surged and condensed in front of him, forming a massive palm imprint that thundered toward the elder's soul. The elder's expression changed drastically as he exclaimed, "This is the soul subjugation seal of the 9th stage divine sect." As he spoke, the giant palm imprint shot past him, pushing the elder's soul backward, colliding with the burning river behind him. With a thunderous crash, the elder's soul shattered instantly. There was no time to ponder the elder's final words. Wang Lin formed hand seals with both hands, directing the burning river. The fiery mountain debris river surged toward him and, above his head, reformed into a mountain peak. However, this peak was filled with countless cracks, from which red flames leaked out, illuminating the surroundings. The celestial might pressed down even harder, and Wang Lin's face flushed slightly. With a wild laugh, he thrust his hands upward, roaring, "Mountain collapse annihilates heaven." The massive mountain above Wang Lin roared as it shot upward into the sky. Its speed was so fast that it created a sharp, piercing whistle. Wang Lin's body swayed as he immediately shot upward. Beneath the giant mountain, he pressed his right hand firmly against its base, as though holding the entire mountain, and shot straight toward the starry sky and the tribulation clouds above. Amidst the ear-piercing whistle, the oppressive force in the heavens and earth grew heavier, hundreds or even thousands of times more intense, continuously enveloping him. The mountain above Wang Lin began to crack, and large sections of it shattered, as countless rocks couldn't withstand the pressure of the heavens and turned to dust. But Wang Lin didn't stop. On the contrary, his speed increased, and with a low growl, he charged upward, pushing the mountain higher and closer to the endless tribulation clouds. It grew nearer and nearer. Wang Lin's hair fluttered in the wind. The sounds of his armor creaking echoed, as though it might collapse under the pressure. His bones creaked from within, making veins bulge on his face. But none of this mattered to Wang Lin. What he sought was the will to defy the heavens. After many battles with the tribulations, he knew that being passive was not in his nature. This time, he would fight back. As the mountain got closer, it began to collapse on a large scale. Countless stones disintegrated, and soon, the entire mountain had shattered into a cloud of dust. But though the mountain had crumbled, the mountain spirit remained. Without the stones, what Wang Lin held up was a massive mountain of fire. To call it a mountain would be an understatement. It was more like a blazing, red fire in the shape of a mountain. At this moment, Wang Lin was less than 10,000 feet away from the tribulation clouds. Under the crazed impact, the heavenly pressure grew again, and this time, it did not pause for a single moment. The starry sky above began to crack, with space rifts appearing in an instant, emitting endless cold. Even the fire mountain Wang Lin was holding began to dim, as if it might extinguish under the pressure of the heavenly wrath. Wang Lin let out a roar, both hands thrusting forward. His primordial energy surged out and transformed into a powerful force that propelled the fire mountain faster, charging directly toward the tribulation clouds in the sky. 10,000 feet, 9,000 feet, 8,000 feet, 5,000 feet. When the fire mountain reached 5,000 feet from the tribulation clouds, a roar came from within them. Amidst the booming sounds, the fire mountain ultimately failed to reach the top. With a violent tremor, it extinguished, vanishing without a trace. Without the fire mountain, there was nothing to block the heavenly wrath, which immediately pressed down upon Wang Lin. His face twisted with frustration. Only 5,000 feet remained. If he could break through this, he would be able to strike at the tribulation clouds. At the moment the pressure arrived, a fire erupted in Wang Lin's left eye, and thunder surged in his right eye. He spread his arms wide, and a thunderball the size of a fist appeared on his right hand. At the same time, fire emanated from his left eye and gathered into a white fireball on his left hand. Heavenly thunder, heed my command, Thunder Dragon Wang Lin. Wang Lin, floating in the starry sky, let out a low growl. In an instant, a massive, ancient thunder dragon materialized behind him. Surrounded by thunder, the dragon's eyes revealed an aura of defiance as it roared toward the sky. In that moment, countless bolts of lightning appeared in the sky and rushed toward the thunderball in Wang Lin's right hand. From a distance, the area within a few tens of thousands of miles around Wang Lin was filled with thunder, as if it were a vast thunder pool, with endless lightning serpents slithering across the ground. Even more astonishing was the moment Wang Lin controlled the power of thunder. The very lightning within the tribulation clouds above was pulled down toward his right hand. At this moment, it was as if Wang Lin was fighting the heavens for control of thunder. He was seizing the right to wield the power of thunder. As endless bolts of lightning gathered, more lightning from within the tribulation clouds was sucked down, and the roars within the clouds grew louder. The lightning that had been pulled seemed to hesitate, slowly retreating as if trying to return to the clouds. Heavenly Tao, heavenly tribulation. Even if there is a heavenly Tao, if the heavens wish to destroy me, I will destroy the heavens. Wang Lin bellowed as the lightning slowly receded back into the clouds. I, Wang Lin, do not believe in the heavenly Tao, nor in the heavenly tribulation. This so-called heavenly Tao is nothing but self-imposed, and this so-called heavenly tribulation is just a self-imposed calamity. As he roared, Wang Lin clenched his left hand tightly. Heavenly fire, heed my command, vermilion bird Wang Lin. In an instant, beside the thunder dragon's shadow, a burst of white flame erupted, forming into a massive vermilion bird. As it flapped its wings, the sound of the bird reverberated through the heavens. A sea of fire immediately spread across the starry sky, rushing toward Wang Lin's left hand. At the same time, from the tribulation clouds 5,000 feet away, not only did lightning pour down, but a vast inferno also descended, forming a funnel-like shape, heading straight toward the fireball in Wang Lin's left hand. Not only was he fighting the heavens for thunder, but now he was fighting the heavens for fire. If any cultivator were to witness this scene, their minds would be shaken. Wang Lin, with his right hand holding a thunderball and his left hand engulfed in flames, was absorbing the powers of heaven and earth while also contending with the might of the tribulation clouds. The roar within the tribulation cloud grew clearer, and a blood-red mist suddenly spread from within, signaling the appearance of the fifth form of tribulation, the blood tribulation. At the moment this bloody mist appeared, Wang Lin suddenly raised his head. His body shot forward like an arrow leaving its bow, with a thunderball the size of 100 zhang and flames of the same size surging beside him, heading straight for the tribulation cloud. 5,000 zhang, 4,000 zhang, 3,000 zhang, 1,000 zhang. Wang Lin was getting closer and closer to the tribulation cloud, and just as he entered the 1,000 zhang range, the blood-red mist enveloped him. Time slowly passed, and just as the mosquito beast was about to rush toward the tribulation cloud in anxiety, a low growl suddenly echoed from the red mist beneath the cloud. Amidst the rolling red mist, thunderous lightning exploded, and a sea of fire surged, burning fiercely. A crimson figure burst from the blood mist. It was Wang Lin. Wang Lin's face was pale, but his expression was filled with a murderous coldness. As he charged through the red mist, he dashed straight toward the tribulation cloud, crossing the 1,000 zhang distance in the blink of an eye, and crashing directly into the cloud high above. The moment he entered the tribulation cloud, Wang Lin immediately felt the overwhelming power of heaven and earth. With a forceful push of both hands forward, lightning and fire intertwined, creating an earth-shattering force of destruction. The thunderous sounds exploded violently as lightning and fire collided. The boundless tribulation cloud rapidly contracted, and the roar inside grew louder and louder. Within the entire tribulation cloud, lightning roamed and flames burned, creating a powerful shockwave that swept across the area. Gradually, the tribulation cloud contracted even more, its roars shaking the very heavens. In an instant, the tribulation cloud began to collapse on a massive scale, as though invisible hands were tearing it apart. Wang Lin, inside the tribulation cloud, could clearly feel the force of this tearing. His body seemed on the verge of being ripped apart. Just as he was about to retreat, his eyes suddenly narrowed. Within the tribulation cloud, surrounded by thick mist, Wang Lin saw ahead a crack about 10 zhang wide. Thick mist poured out of the crack, as if it was the very source of the heavenly tribulation. After a slight hesitation, Wang Lin focused on the crack and, with a sudden movement, flew straight toward it. Within moments, he arrived at the crack. Strangely, he didn't feel any tearing sensation here. This bizarre phenomenon made Wang Lin even more cautious. Clenching his teeth, Wang Lin quickly extended his divine sense, sending it straight into the crack. As soon as his divine sense entered, his body immediately trembled violently. The moment his divine sense entered the crack, he immediately saw a whole new world. Here, the sky was blue, the sea a deep green, and immortal qi filled the air. The land stretched endlessly before him. But what caught Wang Lin's attention was a massive stone statue on the ground. This giant statue was unmistakably that of an ancient god. The god's forehead bore 8 star-like marks, 2 of which were sealed. The statue stood motionless, as if it were a mere lifeless object. However, Wang Lin could clearly feel waves of overwhelming vitality emanating from the ancient god's body. That wasn't all. In front of him were not just 1, but over 10 ancient god statues. Furthermore, there were nearly 100 statues of ancient demons and monsters. Among them, one ancient demon statue had a young man sitting cross-legged on top of it, dressed in a Taoist robe. The young man held a mirror in his hand, his brow furrowed as he continuously performed calculations. This should be the mouth of the tribulation that Master Ma spoke of. At this moment, the young man suddenly raised his head and let out a soft gasp. His eyes gleamed with wild joy as he looked up at the sky, clearly sensing Wang Lin's divine sense. His gaze flickered, and in an instant, a dark green ray shot out from his eyes, streaking toward the sky. Wang Lin didn't hesitate. He immediately severed his connection with the divine sense and shot forward, his body engulfed in thunder and fire. Without a moment's thought, he charged directly into the rolling tribulation cloud. He transformed into a crimson figure that darted out, leaving the cloud and heading straight for the mosquito beast. The moment he exited the tribulation cloud, Wang Lin's expression changed. He felt the destruction of his divine sense and, without further thought, accelerated. Within moments, he reached the mosquito beast's side. With a flick of his sleeve, he sent the entire swarm of mosquito beasts into the cracked space, even removing the yellow talisman from the mosquito beast's back. The entire sequence of actions was done without a pause. Holding the yellow talisman, Wang Lin swiftly attached it to his body as he continued forward. Instantly, whirlwinds surrounded him, and his speed shot up, transforming him into a rainbow streaking toward the front. Not long after Wang Lin left, the thunderous sounds within the tribulation cloud grew more intense. Eventually, the cloud seemed to dissipate as it contracted, though upon closer inspection, it wasn't truly gone. Instead, all the tribulation clouds gathered together, forming a dark green ray in the sky. At the very moment the azure-black radiance appeared, an aura not of this realm instantly dispersed in all directions. The tear in the boundary caused by the heavenly tribulation collapsed just as quickly, but it invisibly helped him dissipate the remaining 4-state supreme tribulation. Well, I finally escaped that damned place. Helping him is the least I could do. A voice of excitement rang out within the azure-black glow, and in a flash, it vanished without a trace. At that same instant, far to the west of the Alliance star domain, on a humble cultivation star, an old man in black robes sat cross-legged in a meadow. His expression was calm, as though nothing in the entire world could stir him. Had Wang Lin been present, he would instantly have recognized this old man in black as the one who, back in the Luo Tian star domain, prevented Qing Shui and the Yao clan patriarch from clashing. His eyes were serene as he gazed at the grass beside him. Under his scrutiny, the grass grew strangely, wilting from green to yellow, then springing back to tender shoots, cycling repeatedly. He raised his right hand to pluck the grass. In that moment, his hand trembled, and he abruptly lifted his head, his eyes wide with disbelief. If Yin Lazy had seen the expression on this old man in black, he'd have been shaken to the core. This was someone he held in profound respect, a figure who, throughout the years, had never shown such emotion. With a swing of his broad sleeve, the old man became transparent and disappeared. He had no idea what cultivation level he possessed, nor what divine power he'd employed. When he next appeared, he was at the site where Wang Lin had undergone his heavenly tribulation. The distance he traversed was immense, far too vast, even for shrinking earth technique to cover in one go. Yet for him, it was effortless. He frowned slightly and swept his gaze across the area, finally stopping at a void of starlit nothingness 100 zhang ahead. This was precisely where the azure-black aura had spawned moments ago. A trace of ancient immortal domain aura, he murmured, then turned and walked away. Meanwhile, Wang Lin had raced back into the eastern bounds of the 4 great immortal realms of the Alliance. Only then did his speed slow. Images of the earlier scenes still haunted him, especially the youth in Taoist robe, who had left him deeply shaken. Who is he? Wang Lin's eyes betrayed caution. He glanced over his shoulder at the inky starfield behind him, then strode forward. In a ripple of light, he vanished, reappearing just outside the Vermilion Bird's sacred sect. He avoided entering the burning star domain and instead chose a savage star nearby. He descended onto the planet and settled atop a mountain peak, sitting cross-legged. Once seated, he exhaled deeply. Fear gripped him more as he pondered. After a long while, he suppressed his emotions. With a gesture in midair, fissures appeared before him. He waved through them, drawing forth the primordial spirit crystal of the purple-robed elder's essence spirit. Without hesitation, Wang Lin unleashed his divine sense, circling the unconscious essence spirit's head and delving in. Instantly, countless memory fragments were forcibly extracted. Wind Immortal Realm, Cloud Sea Star Domain. Wang Lin's eyes glinted with sharp insight. He pondered, and then a flash of joy passed across his face. Cloud Sea Star Domain, he mused for a moment. Then he resumed exploring the essence spirit's memories, seeking a path to the Cloud Sea. After half an incense stick's time, Wang Lin withdrew his divine sense and smiled. The structure of this Cloud Sea domain is completely unlike Luo Tian and the Alliance. It suits me perfectly. And the Wind Immortal Realm is infested with mosquito beasts. Surprisingly, among the 4 great immortal realms, only the Cloud Sea's spatial barrier is weak. With a special formation and an invitation token, one can penetrate it. Wang Lin's eyes gleamed as he examined the essence spirit carefully before sealing it away in his storage rift. This essence spirit contains the immortal art taught by senior brother Qing Shui and can serve as an invitation token. Now I just need the formation. Luckily, its required materials are not hard to acquire. Once I fully understand it, I can begin deployment. If everything I've prepared for Tuasun fails, then the Cloud Sea will be my final option. Wang Lin fell silent for a moment, then rose, breathing deeply. Gazing in the direction of the Vermilion Bird's sacred sect, he murmured, "Now, I only await the Rain Immortal Crystal from the old Sacred Emperor. Luo Tian, Corpsine, the Alliance factions, they all suspect that when I sent out the Jade Slip, I had ulterior motives. They're only half right. My second purpose is to lure all of you to the ancient god ruins so you won't have the energy to disrupt the 4 sacred sects' rescue of the Azure Dragon Sacred Emperor in the Rain Immortal Realm. I wonder how many of you can see through this trap within a trap." Pride flickered in Wang Lin's expression as he strode toward the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. He intended to meet with Wang Wei and Hu Wan, as well as the ancient demon Tagia sealed by the blood of the primordial Era sacred artifact. Finished_successfully at this very moment, within the heart of the Alliance Star Domain, at the headquarters of the Cultivation Alliance, an earth-shattering event suddenly erupted. Even the vast formation that sealed the outer perimeter trembled violently, as though it was on the verge of collapsing. Meanwhile, deep within the burning star domain of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect, on the white stone that housed the body of the old Sacred Emperor, his eyes suddenly snapped open. But in an instant, his eyes turned into a burst of blood, exploding outward. Wang Lin, come to me at once. Hurry. As the Vermilion Bird's Sacred Emperor, he shared a unique way to transmit divine thoughts with the old Sacred Emperor, who had also cultivated the 9 mystic transformations. Wang Lin wasted no time. Using the speed rune still on his body, he surged forward like a thunderclap that suddenly broke the stillness of the starry sky, charging into the burning star domain. His speed was so great that the moment he entered the burning star domain, he took a single step forward and vanished without a trace, using the shrinking earth technique. In an instant, a ripple twisted the space 10 feet away from the white stone where the old Sacred Emperor lay. Wang Lin emerged from the distortion, his eyes immediately locking onto the old Sacred Emperor's blood-soaked eyes. The death aura emanating from the old Sacred Emperor's body was palpable. Wang Lin didn't need to use his divine sense to know that death itself was trying to claim the old Sacred Emperor's existence. Senior, Wang Lin's eyes were filled with sorrow. He took a step forward, standing atop the stone. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but at that moment, the scene before him left him speechless, unable to utter a single word. The old Sacred Emperor raised his head, his blood-stained eyes flickering with a hint of light within them. Your senior brother Qing Shui, he is indeed at the Cultivation Alliance headquarters. Several years ago, when the great formation of the Cultivation Alliance was activated, it was directly related to him. He didn't die, but he's gone mad. The Cultivation Alliance headquarters has concealed an earth-shattering secret for countless years. When Xian Zhongzi and others first went to the Renegade Immortal realm, they not only acquired most of the inheritance, but also discovered mysterious objects. For all these years, they have been researching them. This matter is so significant that even the Kungsu realm may be unaware of it. These mysterious objects are so powerful that they could even affect the 4 great immortal realms. Wang Lin, you must quickly go and rescue the Azure Dragon Sacred Emperor, then immediately take this jade slip to the Kungsu realm. This matter is too terrifying. Your cultivation is not enough. Do not get involved. The old Sacred Emperor, already on his deathbed, spoke these words with great difficulty, panting heavily. But he still managed to raise his right hand and press it to his forehead. In an instant, his primordial spirit emerged, floating away from his body. He looked deeply at Wang Lin, his face filled with tenderness. Wang Lin, take care of yourself. I can no longer help you, he said. As soon as his primordial spirit emerged, it radiated a soft glow. But in the next instant, this gentle light transformed into a blinding brilliance, piercing through the surrounding space. In the blink of an eye, this light reached its peak. Wang Lin's vision blurred, but when it cleared, he saw the old Sacred Emperor's primordial spirit, turning into a crystalline glow that gradually dissipated. He could clearly see the old Sacred Emperor's primordial spirit showing a look of relief at the moment of its dispersal. At the place where it faded, 2 objects appeared. A red jade slip and a crystal the size of an infant's fist. The crystal contained pure immortal energy that slowly spread outward. Wang Lin stood in silence, the sorrow in his eyes deepening. He gazed silently at the spot where the old Sacred Emperor's primordial spirit had vanished. After a long time, he sighed deeply and looked at the old Sacred Emperor's body. Once the primordial spirit departed, the body was immediately engulfed in flames, eventually transforming into a burning stone statue. Yet, it still retained the appearance and posture of the old Sacred Emperor in life. His right hand remained fixed on his forehead, unmoving. Wang Lin stepped back a few paces, kneeling on the stone and bowing 3 times in deep reverence to the old Sacred Emperor's statue. Wang Lin had never bowed to heaven nor knelt before the earth, but before this vermilion bird old Sacred Emperor, he could not help but offer 3 deep bows in gratitude. At the moment of the old Sacred Emperor's death, nearly all the elders of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect felt the overwhelming sorrow in their hearts. They silently flew out of the planet, kneeling where the old Sacred Emperor's body lay, tears streaming down their faces. Farewell, Sacred Emperor. May you journey well. May the Sacred Emperor's spirit watch over and protect the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect. Gradually, it wasn't just the elders. Every member of the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect felt the sorrow permeating the heavens and earth. They knew that the old sacred emperor was gone. One by one, the sect members knelt, silently shedding tears. Farewell, sacred emperor. The heartfelt voices resonated, gradually spreading from cultivation stars, growing louder with each passing moment. Even the vermilion bird statues on the main stars of the vermilion bird sacred sect let out mournful cries. A phantom vermilion bird, old and weary, gradually emerged from the old sacred emperor's body, flying farther and farther until it disappeared into the starry sky, dissolving into nothingness. Once, the vermilion bird sacred emperor had been a towering figure. After the white tiger sacred emperor's death, the black tortoise sacred emperor's betrayal, and the azure dragon sacred emperor's disappearance, he had led the four sacred sects through countless crises and endured for millennia. Now, the vermilion bird old sacred emperor had finally returned to the abyss of oblivion. At this moment, the elders of the azure dragon sacred sect, white tiger sacred sect, and black tortoise sacred sect felt a sudden sensation, silently gazing in the direction of the vermilion bird sacred sect. One by one, they also knelt down. Similarly, the members of these three sects followed suit and bowed in reverence. A sorrowful aura enveloped the Eastern Alliance. The former glory had long since faded. The unwavering pursuit was only for the memories of the past. Now, the desolate land lingered in the sorrow of what once was, eternally engraved in the hearts of all the clan members. After the death of the old sacred emperor of the vermilion bird, Luo Tian summoned all the cultivators in the Alliance star domain. Under the leadership of Yin Lazy and others, even the sole surviving member of the ancient cultivation clan, who had come from Luo Tian, headed towards Vermilion Bird Star. The Grand Thunder Immortal halls moved with them, surrounding the cultivators, releasing a pressure of authority. It wasn't just them. The Corpsine sect had nearly emptied its ranks, heading straight for Vermilion Bird Star. In their long procession, countless coffins followed the disciples of the Corpsine sect. From a distance, it appeared as though a procession of corpse-laden coffins was marching forward. The movements of these two forces immediately drew the attention of all factions within the alliance. After discussing the information obtained from the Jade Slips, the various forces of the alliance began sending their own forces. In an instant, the entire alliance star domain was in turmoil. A dark aura, like the calm before a storm, gradually spread, signaling the arrival of a tempestuous dawn. Meanwhile, within the four sacred sects of the Eastern Alliance, some elders, along with their clans, were also heading towards Vermilion Bird Star, intending to mask the true intentions of the four sacred sects. At almost the same time that the various forces arrived at Vermilion Bird Star, the Vermilion Bird Sacred Sect gathered 35 Shattered Nirvana elders from the other three sections. They sat cross-legged in a formation, their expressions solemn and filled with anticipation. They formed a circle, with a formation pattern beneath each of them. In the center, a circular formation of about 10 feet in diameter stood empty. However, 35 branches extended from it, connecting with the formations beneath the 35 elders. Around these elders were the countless clan members from the four sacred sects, seated in dense rows, numbering in the tens of thousands. They, too, sat cross-legged, each with their own formation beneath them, linking them to the formations of the 35 elders. These clan members awaited the order. Once the command was given, they would release their primordial energy through their formations, fueling the grand formation. At this moment, Wang Lin was drifting through the starry sky, slowly advancing. Soon, ahead of him, a ring-shaped sea of flames churned like a storm, within which the angry roars of Xu Liguo could be heard. Xu Liguo. Wang Lin stopped outside the fiery storm and let out a low shout. As soon as the words left his mouth, Xu Liguo's voice within the storm immediately faltered. At the same time, the storm before Wang Lin suddenly parted to both sides, revealing a massive gap. Through it, one could clearly see Xu Liguo's disheveled figure. Upon hearing Wang Lin's voice, Xu Liguo paused for a moment before instinctively showing a flattering smile, which he quickly suppressed, replaced by a fierce anger. You murderous star of calamity. So you finally remembered your grandpa Xu. I'll settle the score with you today. Over the years, as Xu Liguo faced countless life and death crises, he had no choice but to comprehend the ancient sword intent, his cultivation skyrocketing. Now, even ordinary glimpse of Nirvana cultivators dared to challenge him in battle. Fueled by rage, he charged forward, transforming into a massive sword several meters long. Its appearance was identical to an immortal sword, with a faint aura of colossal wealth surrounding it. As he charged, the flames before him immediately receded, allowing Xu Liguo's sword to pass through the gap and head straight towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's eyes flashed with cold light. Without even glancing at the enormous sword, he casually waved his right hand. In an instant, endless primordial energy from the heavens and earth gathered and surged forward, colliding with the massive sword. A series of explosive sounds rang out, and the massive sword instantly shattered. Xu Liguo, horrified, was forced to retreat, but he refused to give up. With a low growl, his body swayed, and this time, he split into 9 swords, intertwining to form a sword formation. A surging sword intent rose from them as they charged at Wang Lin once again. Wang Lin nodded slightly. The current appearance of Xu Liguo was exactly what he had been waiting for. With a flick of his body, Wang Lin stepped into the sword formation. Raising his right hand, he casually reached out and grabbed the blade of one of the great swords. With a fierce grip, the sound of cracking filled the air as the other 8 swords shattered. However, the sword intent did not dissipate. Instead, it transformed into 8 giant skulls, charging towards Wang Lin to devour him. Interesting. Wang Lin's right eye flashed with lightning. Suddenly, endless thunder erupted from his body, sweeping across the surroundings like 1,000 silver serpents. The 8 skulls screamed as they exploded one by one. Holding the great sword in his hand, Wang Lin exerted a slight pressure with his right hand. Immediately, the sword emitted a cracking sound, and within it, there was a panicked voice from Xu Liguo. Master! Master! Little Xu was wrong. I didn't mean it. It's just that after so many years, I haven't seen someone as tall, mighty, handsome, elegant, wise, and extraordinary as you. Truly, you are one of a kind, unmatched, incomparable, a man who is revered for his intelligence, strength, and charm. You are a rare gem, beloved by all, admired by the heavens, and respected by the world. I have missed you so much. After all these years, Master, you finally remember little Xu. I thought you had forgotten me. Master, please, be gentle, be gentle. Xu Liguo, naturally timid, was so scared that his soul seemed to leave his body. In his panic, he blurted out every flattering word he could think of. Upon hearing this, Wang Lin couldn't help but pause in surprise. At that moment, Xu Liguo once again felt the imminent approach of death. Wang Lin's right hand seemed to possess the power to reap his life, as though the heavenly Tao itself would crush his soul hidden within the sword with just a bit more force.